Hi, welcome back to another gadget report, or the Flying Gadget Report. I hope you had a wonderful week and you're ready for another video. Before I start, I must apologize for my voice. I had a little bit of an issue this weekend. I was talking on the phone, it was cutting off. The only place where I could speak without interruption was exactly opposite of the uh, exit of the aircon, and I was actually feeling very good because it was really cool, but this was the result. So my voice is a little bit crooked, and I do apologize. Another thing is, as you could imagine, and as you can see, I've got my microphone is working again. I managed to find a way of it to work. So I hope the sound issues are a thing of the past. And this week, we continue our um, airline history month of February, and we talk about another airline that I really, really like, which is Qantas, the Australian Qantas. It's an iconic airline, as you know. Um, we call it the spirit of Australia, and we really love that airline. If you come to Australia, you'll find that we all have um, that soft spot for Qantas. It's our Qantas, and we really like Qantas and flying with Qantas. Obviously, there's always that uh, ups and downs, like in any relationship, and sometimes we can get up, right, quite upset with our Qantas, but overall, we all like our airline, and quite frankly, it's a symbol of our country, and we really love it. So that's what we'll be talking today, our Qantas. So come with me and let's talk about our Flying Kangaroo. And let's talk about our Flying Kangaroo. So, as I said, today we are talking about Qantas. Qantas is an icon for Australia. It's a symbol of our country. It's our flagship airline, and throughout the years, it has a very, very special place in our hearts. So, if you are an Australian, you know what I mean. Um, Qantas, everybody knows their slogan is the spirit of Australia, and I think that's exactly what it is. Um, all the work that the airline has carried out throughout the years, um, it's a good example of what is the spirit of Australia, what we usually call it the Aussie spirit. When um, difficulty come along, we pull up our sleeves and we help out. And that's what Qantas has done throughout its history. So let's start talking about Qantas. Once again, I apologize not only for my voice that today is horrible, beyond imagination, but also because I'll be looking at my screen, because obviously I am not able to tell you the history of Qantas without looking to the website and looking to the information there. So I will also leave the link below so you can also access the website and read, because in this video I would not be able to compile, I would not be able to tell the history bit by bit. I'm just compiling the most important things they have on their website. And the video is going to be larger than 10 minutes, than the 10 minutes that I usually do, but it's impossible just do it in 10 minutes. So Qantas, Oz, or should I say Queensland and Northern Territory Aerial Services Limited, that's what Qantas stands for, which was registered as a company on the 16th of November 1920, and its first chairman was Mr. Fergus McMaster, but the whole idea came from two World War One pioneers, um, Mr. Paul McInnes and Hudson Fish, that had envisioned um, a air service that would connect Australia to the rest of the world. So this was their idea. Um, with the spirit of the ANZACs, they wanted really to take Australia to the world and connect us to the rest of the world. And that's what this was the principle behind this amazing airline, because the international travel was always in mind, and that's why you see Northern Territory. Um, the two pioneers wanted to make Darwin an international hub, so they wanted to operate international flights from Darwin. That didn't happen in the very beginning. However, a network, a route network, was quickly building up in the domestic market, obviously, but that um, goal of an international flight was achieved later, a little bit later in 1935, and the flight was not from Darwin but from Brisbane, and was connecting Brisbane to Singapore. Qantas was using the DH-86 aircraft at the time, and the flight was taking 3.5 hours. So that's how long would take you from Brisbane to Singapore back in the day. In 1938, Empire flying boats also start linking Sydney to Singapore, and this would introduce a full cabin service with a bit more comfort and modernity, of course. So, once again, Qantas was leading the way. From 1939 to 1945, there was Qantas became more of a frontline airline. As you know, unfortunately, World War II broke out, and despite a number of its aircraft being transferred to the Royal Australian Air Force, obviously for obvious reasons, Qantas still continued to operate its services between Singapore and Australia even after war was declared. Qantas crews ferried 19 Catalina flying boats from the USA to Australia in 1941. Just another remarkable achievement for Qantas, since the first of these flights was the second east to west aerial crossing of the Pacific Ocean. So it was again Qantas in the top, Qantas going ahead and leading the way. This time around, not the first to do it, but the second doing it, and it was an achievement per se. Singapore services had to cease in 1942. The Japanese have taken most of Southeast Asia, and Qantas obviously had to stop their flights. They were also flying boats evacuating servicemen and civilians from the Dutch East Indies to Australia. And unfortunately, two of these Empire flying boats were shot down by Japanese aircraft in early 1942. This marks a very dark year for Qantas, since it lost this aircraft, and also in the beginning of 1942, to be more precise, 19th of February 1942, when Darwin was bombed by the Japanese. Qantas hangar and flying boat servicing facilities was destroyed, by that rate. And one of Qantas Empire flying boats got almost destroyed, so nearly escaped total destruction. So from then on, Qantas still kept his service, still kept serving the community and helping out, and had his DH-80C aircraft evacuating 78 people from Mount Hagen in New Guinea in May 1942, that is, and completes the supply, urgent supply flights from Port Moresby to the front line in Burma in late 1942 as well. So again, Qantas keeps his service to the community even in war times. From June 1943, Qantas operated the only regular air service to Australia across the Indian Ocean between Ceylon and Perth. Catalina flying boats crossed 5,600 kilometers non-stop with flying times between 28 to 33 hours. Remarkable. So much so that the passengers would be awarded a certificate of membership to the Rare and Secret Order of the Double Sunrise. I can imagine how they must have felt when they received these awards. From 1945 to 1958, it was the post-war aviation. There was a time to reflect and regroup and think about what lies ahead. And we know that people have many reasons to fly, and obviously the most common one that comes to mind is recreation. However, there is other reasons for flying, and there's business and etc. In Australia in particular, flying is not as much as a necessity or even a luxury. Sometimes it's a necessity. A lot of industries, and I'm thinking in specific mining industry, relies on aviation and relies on flights to get their employees in and out of the mines. That's why they are even called fly-in, fly-out workers, where they get on a flight to go to the mines in remote areas. They do their 1 week shift or whatever they have for them, and then they fly out of the mine back to their families, and this is the routine. So aviation plays a very important role in Australia. The distances are huge, and obviously flying, it's not as much of a luxury but more of a necessity most of the times, because it links families, it links friends, and obviously allows people to go to work as well. So it is, and one of the examples of this is to say that some of the busiest domestic routes are Australian routes. So this shows how much really domestic aviation is important in this country. During World War II, Qantas evacuated non-combatants and civilians from the line of fire and kept Australians' only civilian air link across the Indian Ocean with Catalina and Liberator aircraft. In 1944, Qantas Liberators were the first to carry the Flying Kangaroo symbol, the one that came to be an icon not only for Qantas but for Australia itself. Constellation aircraft first flew all the way to London from Sydney in 1947, and Qantas routes circled the Earth via both hemispheres from 1958. So again, leading the way to great achievements for this industry. From 1954 to 1991 was the jet era. The jet planes brought innovation, brought speed. Flying times were cut off by half, so it was possible to go further in less time, which was amazing. So, with the introduction of aircraft such as the Boeing 707 or the beautiful Queen of the Skies, the 747, introducing a dynamic, modern, and obviously glamorous way of flying. That's how or when aviation became that glamorous thing that it came to be known for so many years. Part of this was also the crew. The crew played an important role on this image of glamour, on this image of luxury that perdured for so many years, because they are the most visual marketing tool an airline can use. And indeed, until today, they are those glamorous marketing symbols for Qantas, and obviously for other airlines, it's no different. And it still is like that today. Then Qantas has also an international reputation for excellence, and we know that. Not only in engineering, where they have engineering in excellence, and safety as well. The airline was considered the safest airline in the world for decades, with no air crash, any air crash or any air accidents. Um, and it's also known, or he has a lot of firsts to his credit, being one of them, the first business class cabin in 1979, and the invention of the slide raft bro, standard today in all large commercial aircraft. So again, Qantas was leading the way and pioneering not only in safety, but in quality and excellence in engineering. Everything, Qantas has always been there. New long haul routes such as Perth-London, using new fuel-efficient aircraft such as the Boeing 787-9, were also another innovative thing happening in this period for Qantas, bringing again innovation and style. And obviously this is these landmarks, these most important things for the airline. From 1992 to 2019 came privatization, and but Qantas always kept his status as a national strategic airlift asset that has been called upon on both in peace times and war times. We already seen the amazing work that Qantas did during the war, evacuating not only soldiers but civilians, and providing flights with supplies for the front lines and things like that. But also in peace times, Qantas has played a very important role. For example, in 2002, with the Bali bombings, Qantas was responsible for bringing the bodies of those who perished in that horrible attack, bring them home. The same when Cyclone Tracy devastated the city of Darwin, Qantas was also helping evacuating the population of Darwin into safety. So this only shows the great work that this airline has done throughout the years, and even and war times and in peace times. This is the spirit of Australia. But for many, brings memories of the start of a new page, of a new chapter, since also a lot of migrants that come to Australia to change their lives, living a new life in this beautiful country. A lot of them, for them, their dreams start with a Qantas flight. So this airline brings memories and shows a bit of what this country is about. Cooperation, help, and obviously that's why we call it the Spirit of Australia. It turned 100 in 2020. I honestly hope that Qantas has a rosy future ahead. I'm sure it does, with more innovative aircraft. I know that is in the mind of the company, more innovative things, and again, pushing the boundaries and leading the way for this amazing industry. Once again, if you want to know about this amazing airline, follow the link below and you can read the full story in the Qantas website. And that's all for today. I hope you really enjoyed this flying gadget report about Qantas, the history of our flying kangaroo. If you have anything that you would like to add, please do. Please leave us a comment. If you work with Qantas and you have a remarkable fact that I may have forgotten that you would like to add, please do so. Or if you want to criticize me for something that I haven't done so well, except my voice because it's totally out of my control, and I do apologize for that. Please leave your comments. You know, share with your friends. So we're gonna make this aviation lovers community even bigger, and subscribe the channel with a little click on the bell so you get a notification of another flying gadget report every week. Before I go, I would like to thank you all for watching. See you next week. Have a good one. Bye.